Hello. I am a little bit late. I said I was gonna start at 2, but then I got stung by a bug. Right, I had everything set up, and then I got stung by a bug. Yep, a bug. Just gonna wait for other people to join. Hey guys, I'm just waiting on people to kind of join. But I'm gonna turn my fan off real quick. It's kind of actually getting cold in here. Okay. So when I reach I guess the 6-minute mark, I'll start reading. Just waiting on people to join. Guys like my collection here. I usually try to set up stuff for you guys to see on stream. If you've never been on my stream before, welcome. Welcome to your first stream. If you guys want me to read the second book, because I believe this is the first one, I think I have the second one. I don't know, but if you guys want me to read the second one, let me know. I'll read the second one if you guys let's crush this video with like 2 likes, and then I'll read the second book of FAZBEAR Frights. I'll do it. I'll do it for y'all. 6 minutes. Let's start. Now this is Count the Ways. This is the third book in Into the Pit, FAZBEAR Frights, the first book. So this is Count the Ways. I think it's a smaller story than the other two. So let's begin. I usually like you guys kind of see the book. How's that? Or would you rather see like the figures over there chilling? Figures or the book, or just like that? Is that good? Oh my gosh. Move out of the way, Foxy. Okay. Hold on, I gotta get a drink of my water. Okay. Why, if it isn't... Oh, yeah. Okay, Count the Ways. That's what we're reading. Why, if it isn't Millie Fitzsimmons? A deep, booming voice said in the darkness. It was hard to tell exactly where it was coming from, but it felt like it was all around her. Silly Millie. Chilly Millie. The ice-cold goth girl who's always been dreaming of death. Am I right? Who are you? Millie demanded. Where are you? Above her, a large pair of terrifying blue eyes rolled backward, looking down into the chamber. I'm right here, silly Millie. Or maybe I should say you're right here. You're right inside my belly, in the belly of the beast, I guess you could say. So you're the bear. Millie wondered if she had fallen asleep after she climbed inside the old robot. If she was dreaming, it was all too weird. You can just think of me as a friend. Your friend till the end. We have to decide if the end is going to be slow or quick. I don't understand. The space was starting to feel claustrophobic. She tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. You'll understand very soon, Chilly Millie. You goth girls crack me up. All dressed like professional mourners. So serious all the time, daydreaming about death. Like he's the lead singer of some boy band that you meet him at. It'll be love at first sight. Well, Merry Christmas, Millie. I'm going to make your dreams come true. It's not a question of if, but how. What was happening? She was definitely awake. She had lost her mind, descended into madness like a character from an Edgar Allan Poe story? I'd like to get out now, she said. Her voice sounded so small and shaky. Nonsense, the voice said. You're going to stay in here all nice and cozy while we work out how you're going to have your dream date with death. The choice is yours, but it will be my pleasure to present you with some options. Options of how to die? Millie felt the cold, metallic taste of fear in the back of her throat. Fantasies about death were one thing, but this felt like reality. Hello, guys. Hi. I just read the prologue. Were you guys here for that, or you want me to recap? Recap. I'm already, like, my mouth is already dry. Okay. Right here now. I know I always have my nails painted for these, but, like, guys, I did not feel like it. I cut them, though. They're cut. All of the book. Okay, so basically, Millie, she's trapped inside this chamber. I guess she crawled inside of a robot. Hint, hint. She crawled inside of a robot, and now he's like, I'm gonna kill you. Basically, that's all you missed out on. Okay. Millie. What a stupid name. She was named after her great-grandmother, Millicent Fitzsimmons. I butchered that name. But Millie wasn't the kind of name you saddle a person with. A cat or a dog, maybe, but not an actual human. Millie's black cat was named Annabelle Lee, after the beautiful dead girl in the Edgar Allan Poe poem. That meant that Millie's cat officially had a better name than she did. Millie thought it made sense that her parents would come up with such a ridiculous name. She loved them, but they were ridiculous people in lots of ways. And impractical. The kind of people who would never think how hard elementary school would be for a little girl whose name rhymed with silly. Her parents flitted from job to job, from hobby to hobby, and now it seemed from country to country. Over the summer, Millie's dad had been offered a 1-year teaching job in Saudi Arabia, and her mom and dad had given her the choice. She could go live with them, it'll be an adventure, her mom kept saying, and be homeschooled, or she could move with her kooky grandpa for the year and start at the local high school. Talk about a lose-lose situation. After lots of crying and raging and sulking, Millie had finally chosen the kooky grandpa option over being stranded in a foreign country with all her well-meaning but unreliable parents. So now Millie was here in her strange little room in Grandpa's big, strange Victorian house. She had to admit, the idea of living in an old, sprawling, 150-year-old house where surely someone had to have died at some point suited her well enough. The problem that it was filled to the brim with her grandpa's junk. Millie's grandpa was a collector. Lots of people had collections, of course, comic books, cards, or action figures, but grandpa didn't collect a specific type of thing. So much as accumulate as a lot of different things, he was definitely a collector, but a collector of what? Millie wasn't sure. It all seemed very random. Looking around the living room, she could see an old license plates, hubcaps hanging on one wall, old baseball bats and tennis rackets on another. A life-size suit of armor stood guard at one side of the front door, and a mangy-looking taxidermy bobcat stood at the other side. Its mouth open and fangs bared in a menacing fashion. One glass case in the living room contained nothing but old porcelain baby dolls with tiny teeth staring glass eyes. They were creepy, and Millie tried to stay away from them, though they still showed up sometimes in her nightmares with those little baby teeth chomping at her. Her new bedroom had been her grandma's sewing room, and it still contained the old sewing machine, even though her grandma had died before Millie was born. Grandpa had moved in a narrow bed and a narrow dresser to accommodate Millie and her belongings. She tried to make the room her own. She draped the bedside lamp with a sheer black lacy scarf so it gave off a muted glow. That was my phone. Oh no, my phone's dying. Uh-oh. Hold on, guys, we're having a crisis. Oh, the phone ghost, it's moving my phone again. Hold on. Oh no. Where is my charger? Hold on, I'll find it eventually. I gotta hurry. My phone is dying. Oh my goodness. Why is my charger hidden all the way back there? It is probably just you watching the live. There could be people who have school. It is Monday, so plug in my phone. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. She had tried to make the room her own. She draped the bedside mirror with a sheer... Okay, I already read off. She covered the dresser with dripping candles, and she hung posters of Kurt Carrion, her favorite singer, on the walls. On one poster, the cover design for his album Rigor Mortis, Kurt's lips were peeled back to reveal a set of metal fangs. A perfect red bead of blood glistened on his chin. The trouble was, that no matter how much Millie tried to match the home's decor to her personality, it never quite worked. The sewing machine was there, and the wallpaper was cream-colored and decorated with tiny pink rosebuds. Even with Kurt's carrion fanged face glowing on the wall, there was something about the room. There was something about the room that seemed sweet and old lady-ish. What was that? Walmart.com. Wow. Okay. "Soup's on," Grandpa called from the bottom of the stairs. This was how he always announced dinner, and yet he never once had served soup. "I'll be there in a minute," Millie yelled back, not really caring whether she ate dinner or not. She dragged herself off the bed and made her way downstairs slowly, trying not to bump or trip over any of the clutter that seemed to fill every square inch of the space in the house. Millie met Grandpa in the dining room, where the walls were decorated with souvenir plates printed with the names and landmarks of different states. He had once visited with Grandma when she was alive. The opposite wall displayed replicas of antique swords. Millie wasn't sure about what those were about. Grandpa was every bit as weird as his collections. His wispy gray hair was always messy and wild. He always wore the same ratty tan cardigan. He looked like he could play a wacky inventor in an old movie. "Dinner is served, madame," Grandpa said, setting a bowl of mashed potatoes on the table. Millie sat at her place at the table and surveyed the visual disgusting meal, mushy-looking meatloaf and an instant mashed potatoes, and creamed spinach that she knew had been packaged and frozen in a solid block until he zapped it in the microwave. It was a meal you could eat even if you didn't have teeth, which Millie supposed went with the territory of having old person cook for you. Millie loaded her plate with mashed potatoes since they were the only edible thing on the table. "Now, make sure you get some meatloaf and spinach, too," Grandpa said, passing her the bowl of greens. "You need the iron. You always look so pale." "I like being pale." Millie wore a sheer light powder to make her face look even paler in contrast to the black eyeliner and black clothing she favored. "Well," Grandpa said, helping himself to meatloaf, "I'm just glad you don't bake yourself in the sun like your mother did when she was your age. Still, you could use a little color on your cheeks." He held out the platter of meatloaf to her. "You know I don't eat meat, Grandpa." Meat was gross, and also murder. She's what's that called? Vegan? Vegetarian. One of those two. Anyway. "Eat some spinach then," Grandpa said, spooning some out on her plate. "Plenty of iron on it. You know, back when I learned to do the little bit of cooking, I can manage. It was all about meat. Meatloaf, steaks, roast beef, pork chops. But if you help me find some vegetarian recipes," she is a vegetarian, "I'll sure try to cook 'em. But it would probably be better for my health to eat less meat anyway." Millie sighed and pushed the spinach around on her plate. "Don't bother. It doesn't really matter whether I eat or not." Grandpa set down his fork. "Of course it matters. Everyone's got to eat." He shook his head. "There's no pleasing you, is there, girlie? I'm just trying to be nice and figure out what you like. I want you to be happy here." Millie pushed her plate away. "It's a waste of energy to try and make me happy. I'm not a happy person. And you know what? I'm glad I'm not happy. Happy people are just lying to themselves." Honestly. "Well, if there's nothing in store for you but misery, I guess you might as well go and get started on your homework." Ugh, I hate homework, guys. Okay, Grandpa said and ate his last bit of mashed potatoes. Millie rolled her eyes and flounced out of the room. Ooh, I like that. Flounced. Homework was a misery. School was a misery. Her whole life was a misery. In her miserable room, Millie opened up her laptop and searched for the famous poems about death. She reread her old favorites, Annabel Lee, the cat name. The cat with the same name was curled up on her bed, and The Raven by Poe. When tried one she'd never really seen before by Emily, and then tried one she'd never really seen before by Emily Dickinson. The poem talked about death as a guy picking up a girl for a date with death. The thought made Millie lightheaded. She thought of death as a handsome, black-cloaked stranger choosing her as the one he would take away from the boredom and misery of everyday life. She imagined he looked just like Kurt Carrion. Inspired, she grabbed her black leather journal and began to write. Oh man. What happened to the Foxy Lake? We don't talk about it. We just don't talk about it. Yeah, but I think the reason is like there could be some followers on here that have school and they can't watch me. That's why there's probably less people, but I didn't have school today, but I have it tomorrow. Ugh. Blurred. So let's read Millie's poem. Oh death, show me your I can't read. Hold on. Retry. Pretend that didn't happen. Oh death, show me now your ravaged face. Oh death, how I long for your chilly embrace. Oh death, my life is such a misery that you can only set me free. That didn't rhyme. Okay, face and embrace did, but she should have been like, oh death, my life is a misery. You are the... Okay, never mind. I go to school in Oklahoma. I'm Southern. Yeehaw. Okay, so we just read her poem. She knew poems didn't have to... Oh, yeah. She knew poems didn't have to rhyme, but Edgar Allan Poe and Emily Dickinson rhymed. So she rhymed her poem, too. Not bad, she decided. Sighing with dread of what lay before her, she closed her journal and took out her homework, algebra. What was the use of algebra in the face of human beings? Interventional morality? None. Well, none except that if she didn't pass all her classes, her parents would cut off the allowance that her grandpa doled out to her every week. She was saving up for more jet mourning jewelry. She opened her algebra book and picked up her pencil and began. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. What? Millie snapped and slammed her book shut, as if she'd been interrupted doing something she actually enjoyed. Grandpa nudged the door open with his foot. He was carrying a glass of milk and a plate of fragrant chocolate chip cookies. I thought you might need a little study fuel, he said. I know chocolate always did the trick for me. Grandpa, I'm not a little kid anymore, Millie said. Dude, somebody gave me cookies. Shoot, I'd take them. But then again, this is like an emo girl, so I guess that's different. You can't buy my happiness with a few cookies. Okay, Grandpa said, still holding the plate. You want me to take them away then? No, Millie said quickly. Leave them. Grandpa shook his head and smiled a little, and set the plate and the glass on Millie's bedside table. I'm going to putter around in my workshop for an hour or so, girlie, he said. Call me if you need anything. I won't need anything, Millie said, turning back to her algebra homework. She waited until she was sure he was gone and then devoured the cookies. That's a mood. That's me. Just me. Okay. Okay, so now this is like the beginning. She's upset she's upset about, oh my gosh, we read that much, guys. But we read the part, it's kind of like going back and forth, I'm kind of guessing. So now we're on the part where she's back inside of the beast's belly. She's back inside of the robot. Okay. Options of how to die exactly. The voice in the darkness said, "You're catching on now, bright girl. That you are. Now, I'd call the first couple of options lazy. The lazy choices. They don't require me to do anything but keep you in here and let nature take its course. The advantage to these is that they're pretty easy peasy for me, but not so easy for you. Slow, with lots of suffering. But who knows? That might appeal to your morbid sensibilities. A lot of options for languishing. You like languishing?" "What do you mean?" Millie asked. Whatever the answer was, she knew she wasn't going to like it. "Dehydration is one option," the voice said. "No water at all. You could start dying. You could start dying in as few as 3 days, or so many as 7. You're young and healthy, so I'd put my money on it taking you a while. Depriving the body of water has fascinating effects. With no fluids coming in to filter and flush, the kidneys shut down and your body starts poisoning itself, making you sicker and sicker. Once those poisons have time to build up, you can suffer total organ failure or a heart attack or a stroke. Now that's death for you, so glamorous, so romantic. Are you making fun of me?" That voice came out of Millie was tiny and soft, the voice of a scared little girl. "No, not at all, my dear. I like you, Millie, and that's why I'm here to make your wishes come true, like a genie, except you're the one who's trapped in the bottle." The voice stopped to chuckle. "Starvation is another classic, too. But that's really a slow-moving train. It takes weeks for the body to use up all its stores of nutrition and break down all of its proteins and turn on itself. It can take weeks. Some people have even lasted a couple of months." Millie knew her grandpa would rescue her before she could starve to death. "That'll never work. Grandpa comes in here to putter around after dinner every night. He'll find me." "How?" the voice asked. "He'll hear me in here. I'll scream." "Scream all you want, lamb chop, but it's soundproof. No one will hear you anyway. After a few days, you'll be too weak to scream." "Oh no, I'm not in elementary school. I'm in high school. I'm not in elementary school." By the way, I'm gonna stop right here for a moment. If you guys want me to read the second book of these books, give this video 2 likes. Yeah, I'm a high schooler. I'm a high school senior. By the way, if you guys want, back to what I was saying. By the way, if you guys want me to read the second book of this, leave 2 likes and I will. 'Cause, and then whenever... Yeah, I do. I'm so bad at Fortnite, though. I'm so bad at that game. Okay. So now I can see this story is jumping back and forth between her being trapped in the robot and then her, leading up to it. Okay. Winter break was just 1 week away, and the whole school was decorated with wreaths, Christmas trees, and occasional menorah, whatever that is. Let me know what that is if you do know what that is. Menorah. I would play Fortnite with you, but I'm not a good Fortnite player. I mainly prefer to play horror games and stuff on there. I don't really play Battle Royale. I'm not good at it. It's bad. Okay, so Christmas break is just 1 week away. Millie didn't know why people got so excited over holidays. They were just desperate. They were just a desperate attempt to invent some happiness in the face of life's utter meaninglessness. Oh my goodness. Well, they couldn't fool her. People could wish her Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays until they turned Santa Claus red in the face, but she wouldn't say it back. Not that people were going out of their way to wish Millie well. As she walked down the hallway to the lunchroom, one blonde cheerleader, Millie didn't even know her name, said, "I'm surprised to see you out in the daylight, Dracula's daughter." The cheerleader looked over at her equally blonde friends, whom she'd been talking to more than she'd actually been talking to Millie, and they all laughed. The Dracula's daughter thing had started because she'd been carrying around a paper copy of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And one of the jockey popular guys said, "Oh, look how sweet, she's reading a book about her dad." From then on, she'd been Dracula's daughter. Of course, everyone knew she was really Jeff and Audrey Fitznaum's daughter, which made her which almost made her much as of a misfit as she would have been if Dracula were her real dad. The Fitzsimmons were kind of a joke in the town, and famous for their tendency to start projects with great enthusiasm and abandon them. Dude, that sounds like me. Okay. Starting projects and video. They had bought a rundown and once beautiful colonial house when Millie was 10 and thrown themselves into refurbishing it. They had kept it up for about 3 months until they ran out of time, money, and energy. As a result, the house had weird patchwork quality. The living room and the kitchen were repainted and had a few new fixtures, but the bedrooms still had old, peeling wallpaper and floors with squeaky boards. The bathroom pipes screamed when you turned the water, and the ancient tub, sink, and toilet never looked clean, no matter how much they scrubbed. The most talked about thing, though, was the exterior of the house. Millie's dad had repainted the front and one side a nice soft blue with a cream trim, but paint was expensive and painting was exhausting, and he didn't really like getting up on ladders. As a result, the front of the house was painted beautifully, but the back and the other side were still covered in old, flaking white paint. Millie's mom had Okay, I'm back. I had to pause that for a moment. What am I stepping on? Okay, my toes are falling asleep slowly. Okay. Where was I? Ah, okay. Okay. Millie's mom said nobody would notice, but it was like when people arranged the Christmas tree so the ugly side faced the wall. People noticed. People also noticed the Simmons' incapability to complete a steady job. Millie's parents were always coming up with some new scheme that was finally going to bring them the success of their dreams. Once a year, One year, her mom was making candles and selling them at the farmer's market, while her dad started a nutritional supplement store that closed its doors after 6 months. After that, her mom and dad started a store that sold yarn and knitting supplies. They might have made a go of it if either of her parents had known more about yarn and knitting. And then they bought a food truck, even though they were both terrible cooks. Millie couldn't understand how her parents could remain so optimistic with failure after failure. But they did. They attacked each new project with huge enthusiasm, and then after a few months, both the project and enthusiasm fizzled out. They weren't poor exactly. There was always food to eat, even if, toward the end of the month, it tended to dwindle to pancake mix and boxed macaroni, but there was always worry about how the bills would get paid. Millie knew that her grandpa helped them out some months. Her grandpa was also considered weird in town, but was cut back some slack because he was old and a widower, and had been an excellent high school math teacher for many years. As a result, he earned the title of eccentric instead of weird. Some people said that maybe by taking his teaching job in suburbia, Jeff was finally getting it together and following in his dad's footsteps. Millie knew, though, that her dad would fritter his opportunity like he had so many others. So Dracula's daughter, or Jeff and Audrey Fitzsimmons' daughter, either one was a wacky one-way ticket to being a social outcast. Honestly, felt that though, but I'm kind of the same way with projects. Like, I'll start them and I'll be like, I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to finish it. But I do eventually get it done. Like, I'm so close to getting the Spring Diner set done. What's that? You don't know what the Spring Diner is? Oh, I'm offended. So, the Spring Diner the pilot is out, and it's an upcoming series I've been working on for the beginning of this month. The Spring Diner is a stop motion series, so you should go check out the pilot. I'll link it down in the description below after the stream's over. But yeah, you should go watch the Spring Diner. But I'm so close to finishing the set. I want to finish it by today, and I want to start filming this week, guys. I'm ready to get this series started, even though I have 2 other series I need to finish. But the Spring Diner is the #1 priority because I'm FNAF now. I'm not Wildcraft anymore. I know I hate, like, I'm not gonna abandon those series though. I want to finish in case someone finds those series and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best series ever. And then, like, they come on later to find that, oh no, there's no ending. So I do want to finish those series. I really, like, enjoyed making them in my youth. I can say that. I'm 18. I'm about to be 19, which I will be doing a birthday stream. But but yeah, but I had a really fun time making this series. I might talk about them whenever they end cuz they're very dear to me. But if you want to watch those series too, I'll link them in the description too. The first series is called We Are the Weird Ones. It's about these 2 goofy friends who play this game in this game world, and they just meet new friends along the way and stuff like that. Then the second one is Wolf Tales, and it's an actual storyline about this young wolf puppy and her best friend who's her stepbrother. Listen. Listen. But it's about those 2 wolf puppies who go on to find out that their life means so much more than being in that little pack. Like, it has a lot of themes in it. It has, like, parenting themes. It has, like, ghost stuff, paranormal. But yeah, those series, they're really special to me. And then now I have the Spring Diner, which is a goofy series. I have so much planned for it. I hope you guys really enjoy that series because I'm like working my butt off to get it out. But I'll tell you a little bit about the Spring Diner before I continue. The Spring Diner, it is set in 1986. It's set after the Bite of 87, or the Bite of 83. It's set after that. And these animatronics were built by Henry, not William. So these animatronics, they are possessed by kids, guys. these kids possess these animatronics, and they think of Henry. He's so special to them, and they try to keep his legacy up by running the diner by themselves. So we have Spring Freddy, also known as Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, SB, Spring Foxy, Springy, and then my personal favorite, one of my personal favorites, Spring Chica. So yeah, I'm excited to see where that series goes in the future. I hope you guys really like it though. But I'll get back to reading. I don't see any new comments, so I won't respond. Okay. I like to talk about the things I work on because I'm so passionate about this. Cause YouTube, like at first I thought, oh, I'm gonna start YouTube because I'm crazy and YouTube's crazy. Let's see how it goes. I mean, I know how to play Fortnite. I don't know. I would rather play like a creative map or something. But it just depends. Okay, let's get back to reading. I get caught up in talking about stuff. Guys, whenever I start a video, I have like ADHD. Like I'm just like talking about other stuff. But I was doing a little bit of what's it called, advertising on my series and stuff. Series is there's multiple of them. There's 3. I thought about starting another one. It wouldn't be a FNAF one though. It would be once again Wildcraft. I thought about starting another one, but then I was like, you know what? I want to finish those other ones. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so let me do a little bit of recapping because I was talking so much. So she's at school and she has 1 week left. She has 1 week left until winter break, and she's getting bullied and stuff. Normal middle school question mark stuff. I think she's in middle school, but it said start high school, so she might be a freshman in high school. So yeah, she's getting bullied. She's being called Dracula's daughter. Okay. Okay, so she's at school right now. In the cafeteria, Millie took a second to adjust to the deafening din of hundreds of teenagers talking and laughing. She walked past a table full of popular girls, and she saw her best friend from elementary school, Hannah, sitting with them and laughing at something all the other girls were laughing about. Millie and Hannah had been inseparable from kindergarten through 5th grade, playing on the swings or jumping rope together at every recess, playing with dolls or board games at each other's house after school. But in middle school, popularity started to become more and more important to Hannah, and she drifted away from Millie and toward the crowd who was always giggling about clothes and boys. And what Millie understood, but Hannah did not, was those girls never really accepted Hannah as more than a hanger-on. Hannah lived in a plain little house in a white in a white neighborhood. I'm so dyslexic. In a plain little neighborhood and didn't have the money or social status to make the cut. The popular girls didn't push her away, but they never let her into the inner circle. It made Millie sad that Hannah preferred to accept crumbs from the popular girls rather than a real friendship from her. But then, a lot of things made Millie sad. Girl felt that. Millie sat alone, nibbling on the egg salad sandwich and apple slices her grandpa had packed for her, and reading tales and mystery and imagination. She was managing to drown out all the cafeteria noise and focus on the story she was reading, The Fall of the House of Usher. Roderick Usher, the main character in the story, couldn't bear noise of any kind, but then she felt herself being watched. She stood up from her work to see a lanky boy with horn-rimmed glasses and frizzy hair that had been dyed fire engine red Both his ears were studded with silver earrings. Oh, I love earrings so much. Millie, Millie coveted his black leather jacket. Hi, I was wondering, he looked at the chair across from Millie. Is anyone sitting there? This guy was asking to sit with her? Nobody ever asked to sit with her. My imaginary friend, she said. Wait, was that a joke? She never joked with people. The boy grinned, revealing a mouthful of braces. Well, I could be your imaginary friend if I sat in her lap. Millie looked at the chair for a second. She says, suit yourself. Okay, he said, setting his tray down. Thanks to both of you, I don't really know anybody yet. I'm new. Nice to meet you. New. I'm Millie. What? Was she a comedian now? My name's Dylan, actually. I just moved here from... Oh my goodness. Toes. Toldo. Total. Oh my gosh. Hi and welcome to the stream where Rumble messes is being dyslexic for an hour or two. Okay. So he moved from Total. Okay, whatever. He gestured toward his book. His fingernails were short but polished black. A Poe fan, huh? Millie nodded. Me too, Dylan said. And H.P. Lovecraft. I love all those scary writers. I've never read Lovecraft, Millie said. Better to be honest than try to fake knowledge and talk herself into a corner. I've never heard of him, though. Oh, you'd love him, Dylan said, dunking a cafeteria-issued chicken nugget into a puddle of ketchup. Super dark and twisty. He looked around the cafeteria and his face a mask of disdain. So this school is as lame as it seems? Lamer, Millie said, marking her place in her book and shutting it. The House of Usher wasn't going anywhere, and she couldn't remember when she'd last had an interesting conversation. Well, I'll tell you what, Dylan said, gesturing with a french fry. So far, you're the only person I've seen here who seems cool. Millie felt her face heating up. She hoped a blush wouldn't pricken her Polish... These words, man. Thanks, she said. I like your jacket. And I like your earrings. She reached up to touch those black teardrops that dangled from her earlobes. Thanks, they're jet Victorian morning jewelry. I know, he said. He knew? What kind of high school guy knew about Victorian morning jewelry? I have a few pieces of it, Millie said. I mostly find them on eBay. I can't afford my favorite kind, though, which is... Dylan put up his hand. Wait, don't tell me. It's the kind where they leave the hair on the dead people... Wait. It's the kind where they weave the hair of the dead person into the jewelry, right? Yes! Millie looked up, shocked and amazed. Those pieces sometimes show up on eBay, but they always cost a fortune. The bell rang, signaling that the lunch period was about to end. Dylan leaned over and half whispered, Do not ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee, Millie finished. Where had this guy come from? Toldu, sure, but how was he so sophisticated and knowledgeable? She had never met anyone like him. Dylan stood up. Millie, it's been a rare pleasure. Would you and your imaginary friend mind if I joined you at lunch tomorrow? Millie felt the corners of her mouth twitch up into an unfamiliar way. We wouldn't mind at all, she said. Ooh, she like him. I think Moto likes you. Honestly, that's really neat, though, that she met, like, another person who was like her. Me, personally, I don't really have a type. I just go for people who are different. Like, they stick out from the rest. Like, let's say, actually, never mind. I don't want to talk about that right now. I just like people who are different. Like, they think differently, like you know, they're like different from the rest. Like they're not in a specific group. They're not a jock. They're not like a jock. They're not like a gothic person, which I wouldn't mind that, but they're not like a specific group. They're just like all the same type of, like they like different things, like a goth jock or something. Something like that. Something different. Something that intrigues me, because you know what, I'm not really, I don't really have a social status at my school. I'm just that art kid who's always drawing FNAF. I'm that FNAF kid at my school. If you have one of those kids who really likes this one video game and they have like a backpack of it, they have like, they always wear like FNAF stuff, that's me. But also not me, because I don't wear FNAF merch. I have one hoodie, the hat that has FNAF on it. That's it. Yeah, so me, I'm that one kid. Okay. Now, okay, so she meets this boy. She's like, ooh. Okay. See? I had a thought. Okay, so we're back to talking to this fool. This robot fool she's trapped inside of. See, I thought about freezing you to death, too, the voice said. I thought I could short out the power in here, and so the space heaters turn off, and my metal body can get pretty cold. I figured your grandpa would come in here and notice the power's out in his precious little workshop, and would fix it right away. So freezing to death is a no-go. Sorry if you had your heart set on that one, sweet pea. Billy was shivering not from the cold, but from fear. I don't understand. Why are you trying to kill me? Interesting you should ask, the voice said. We are here a couple of reasons, actually. The first is quite simply, it's something to do. I sat in salvage yard for ages before your grandpa found me and brought me here. Where I've been sitting too. I'm bored out of my skull. Not that I have a literal skull, but you know what I mean. Aren't there other things you could find to do besides killing people? Millie asked. Whatever this being was, it was obviously intelligent. Maybe she could reason with it. None so interesting, and plus, there's my second reason, which is that death is what you want. You've been mooning? You've been mooning around since you moved here, talking about how you want to die. Well, I like to kill people, and you want to die. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Like those little birds that pick the parasites off of rhinoceroses. The birds get to eat, the rhinos get rid of the itchy little bugs. We both get what we want. Win-win. Millie suddenly realized that she had spoken of death and written about it, which had always been an interesting idea to play around with. She never intended to take the action to make it a reality. But I don't want to die. Not really. A horrible rumbling sound shook, surrounded. I'm dying. I'm having a seizure. A horrible rumbling sound surrounded Millie and shook the body of the machine that trapped her. It took her a few seconds to realize the sound is laughter. Okay, now we're back to the past. This is present time. That one was present time, I'm guessing. This one's the past. For dinner, Grandpa made spaghetti with marinara sauce, garlic bread, and Caesar salad. Oh, that sounds so good. I'm hungry. It was much better than the meals he usually slung together. You're actually eating tonight? Grandpa said. Because this is actually good, Millie said, twirling spaghetti around on her fork. All right, I finally found something you like to eat, Grandpa said. I'll add it to my limited I'll add it to my book. I'm just gonna say that. I kept the sauce meat list for you and added meatballs to mine. So, everyone's happy, herbivores and carnivores. Well, Happy may be stretching it, Millie said, unwilling to admit that she actually had a kind of a good day. But spaghetti is so good, and my day at school didn't totally stink. And what made the day less stinky than usual? Grandpa said, spearing a meatball. I met someone who seems kind of cool. Really? A girl someone or a boy someone? Millie didn't really like Grandpa's insinuating tone. Well, not that it matters, but it happens to be a boy. Don't try to turn it into some kind of love story, though. We just had a decent conversation, is all. A decent conversation is something, especially these days. Most people your age don't even look up from their phones long enough to say as much as a "how do you do," Grandpa said. Not to put the cart before the horse, but I met your grandma when I was just a little older than you are now. So what? Now you have me engaged in this guy. So now you have me engaged to this guy, and I just met Grandpa. I'm 14. She's 14. So I'm still trying to figure out what grade she's in. 14. No, she has to be a middle school, right? I don't know. What age are you guys? And what grade are you in? My phone laughed. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's laughing. It laughed. Still trying to figure out. Like, I think she's a freshman though. I'm gonna play it safe and say she's a freshman in high school. Cause like if she's starting this year out, it just depends when her birthday is. So she might be turning 15 soon. And then 16, you usually have your license about sophomore or junior year. So I mean, I don't have my license yet. It's nothing to like get up in a hurry for. But if you want to get your license as soon as you can, do it. Do it, guys. I regret not getting my license ASAP. Like, I regret it. I do have my permit, though. So that's just something to kind of like run. There's your wisdom for today. Get your license when you can. But if you feel like you're not ready to drive, then just don't do it. Just practice. Takes lots of practice. That was words of wisdom from Rumble. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, so she's saying she's 14. Grandpa laughed. You're right. You're not much too young to be engaged, but your grandma and I didn't get engaged. And your grandma and I didn't get engaged when we were teenagers either, but we were high school sweethearts. And then we went to the same college. We got engaged our senior year of college and married in June, right after we graduated. He smiled. And it all started with a good conversation at lunch, like you had today, so you never know. Slow down, old man, Millie said, fighting off a smile. Grandpa's eyes went soft and misty. I'm just reminiscing. I wish you could have known your grandma, Millie. She was something special. And I had to lose her when she wasn't even 40. It's just like Annabelle Lee, Millie said. The Poe poem? Grandpa asked. It was many and many a year ago. Wait, what? It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. I guess it was something like that. You know Poe? Millie asked. It was weird to hear him recite one of her favorite poems. Grandpa was a math professor. Grandpa was a math person, and she didn't expect him to know anything about poetry. Believe it or not, I'm pretty good literate, old dude. I like Poe and a lot of other writers too. I know you like Poe because he's dark and spooky. And it's easy to romanticize death when you're young, and it's so far away. But Poe didn't write about death because he thought it was romantic. He wrote about it because he lost so many of the people he loved. You've never experienced that kind of loss, Millie. It changes you. Oh man, this is getting deep. Okay, He blinked hard. You know, for years after she died, friends were always trying to fix me up with another woman. But it never worked. She was the only one for me. Millie had never thought about Grandpa's feelings before. How he must have felt when Grandma got sick and died. How lonely he must have been after the years she was gone. How he might still be lonely now. That must have been hard, she said, losing Grandma. Okay, listen. Grandpa nodded. It was. I still miss her every day. Well, thanks for dinner, Millie said. I guess I'd better get started on my homework. Without being asked? Grandpa said, smiling. This is certainly a special day. Okay, so she's starting to feel better. She's starting to come out of her gothic shell. In her room, Millie didn't think of death. She thought of Dylan. And she never thought about she thought about what Grandpa said about Grandma. Then she recited Annabel Lee in her head this time. It seemed like a poem about love instead of a poem about death. Oh, okay, we're back to Robo-Man trying to kill her. I hate this guy. Okay. Silly Millie. For someone who doesn't want to die, you sure spent a lot of time talking about it, the voice surrounding her said. But that's the way of things, isn't it? Talk is always easier than action. I think, Millie said, sniffling. But when I said I wanted to die, what I really wanted was to escape. I didn't want death. I just wanted my life to be different. Oh, but that really takes action, doesn't it? The voice said. Changing a life is for the better, especially when the world is such a mean, rotten place. It's ultimately much more satisfying to snuff it out. Which brings me to my second set of options. More interesting ones. These are quick and easy for you, for the most part, but they require a little more effort from me. Not complaining. What the? Okay, a rabbit just hopped in my room. Did you open that door? Oh my goodness. My rabbit scared me. He just kicked open my door. Why do you do this to me? No, you guys want to see the rabbit? That almost made me have to change my underwear. Do you guys want to see the bunny rabbit? Oh, never mind. He's gone. He just disappeared. Nope, he vanished. Okay. Never mind. No rabbit for you. Snowball has vanished off the face of the earth. Okay. So now I'm on. Oh no, he's still in here. He's still in here. Hold on. Hold on, this is tricky. Look at him. Look at the boy. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this dude. What are you chewing on in there? You found something to eat, I guess. He's chewing on it. Did you find a snacky? Snowball. Guys, say hi to Snowball. Tell him how cute he is. Even though you can't really see him. Okay. Snowball. Snowball. Bunny, 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 you're so funny. Yeah, but he likes to just likes to randomly barge into my room. I mean, they live in my room. They live in here with me, and I constantly have to keep my clean room because rabbits are messy, and they can also be potty trained. Now he's sitting with his back to me. Okay. I see how it is. The moment I take away the fame from you, you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna turn my back on you. Typical. I love rabbits with floppy ears, though. They're the best. If my other rabbit comes in here, I'll show you guys her too. Just depends. I don't know. She's like very shy though. She's like skittish. She don't like people. Okay. So we're back to this dude talking about death again, trying to kill her. Okay. Okay, so he's talking about, which brings me to my second set of options. Much more interesting ones. These ones are quick and easy for you for the most part, but they require a little more effort from me. I'm not complaining though, there's nothing I like more than a good challenge to relieve my boredom. Say, you like Dracula, don't you? Millie can barely find her face, her voice to answer. Why? Are you going to bite my neck? No, how would I do that with you in my belly? Silly girl. I know you're a Dracula fan. The kids at school call you Dracula's daughter, don't they? Well, what you might not know is that the character of Dracula was inspired by a real person, a prince named Vlad Dracula. He's better known by his nickname, Vlad the Impaler. Millie's insides seemed to turn to jelly. Hold on, my arm is itchy. Okay. Okay. Vlad killed thousands of his enemies, but his crowning achievement a forest was creating a forest of the impaled, where thousands of his victims, men, women, and children, were skewered through the stakes driven through the ground. I'm no prince, and I can't aspire the level of achievement, but one little impaling can't be that hard, can it? I can just take one of my metal rods and drive it through my body cavity. It'll go straight through you and out the other side. If the spike goes through your vital organs, death comes quickly. If it doesn't, there can be some hours of bleeding and suffering. The people who walked through the forest of the impaled talked about the moaning and gasping of the victims. So impaling. One might say in other deaths, impale in comparison. The voice's tone was cheery. Work quickly or slowly, but the result is the same in the end. Like I said, win-win. No, Millie whispered. She wanted her mom and dad. She wanted her grandpa. They could help her if they only knew. She'd even settle for goofy Uncle Rob and Aunt Sherry as long as they would come to rescue her. Girl, you got that. You probably got yourself into that. So don't feel sorry for you. She would even put on a Christmas sweater if it made them happy. Millie sat at her table in the cafe. Oh, we're back to past now. We're not in present anymore. Millie sat at her table in the cafeteria expectantly. She had been taking special care with her appearance this morning, choosing a lacy black top and a jet black Victorian mourning necklace from her small collection. Her face powder enhanced her paler, and her black eyeliner had the perfect cat eye effect. As minutes passed, she started to worry. What if Dylan didn't show up? What if she had gotten all dressed up for nothing? What if, as she always expected, life offered no possibility of pleasure or happiness? But then, there he was, with his leather jacket and fire-engine red hair and shiny silver earrings. Hey, Millie said, trying not to sound like she was too happy to see him. Hey, he said, setting his tray on the table and sitting across from her. I brought you something. Millie's heart pounded in excitement. She hoped it didn't show. He reached into the pocket of his leather jacket and pulled out a worn paperback book. H.P. Lovecraft, he said. I was telling you about him yesterday. I remember, Millie said, taking the book. Call of the... I'm gonna try my hardest to say this. Choo. Oh my gosh. Call it the choo choo, and I'm just gonna say choo choo. Chulu. Chaluhu. Chaluhu and other stories? Did I say that right? Chaluhu? Who knows? Dylan said. H.P. Lovecraft made it up. And he's dead, so we can't even ask him. You can keep the book. I got a copy and a hard cover for my birthday. He grinned. My parents are cool. They don't mind that I like weird stuff. Thanks. She felt a little smirk creeping up on her. She slipped the book into her bag. She would certainly read the book, but it wasn't the book that was making her feel all smiley. It was Dylan. It was that Dylan had thought of her. While he was at home, not in her presence, he had thought of her, found the book and put it in his jacket pocket and remembered to give it to her. And in her experience, boys weren't usually this thoughtful. After dinner in her room, Millie started reading the H.P. Lovecraft book. Dylan was right. It was weird. Weirder than Poe stuff even. And scary in a way that it made spiders feel like were crawling beneath her skin. But she loved it. It was the perfect gift for Dylan to give her. It wasn't a flowers and candy kind of girl. After she read a couple of stories, she opened her laptop. Instead of Googling poems about death, she searched for poems about love. She found one famous one by Elizabeth Barrett Browning that began, "How do I love thee? Let me count." Oh, that's so clever. Let me count the ways. Oh my goodness. Scott, you really done it this time. That's so clever. Scott. Always finding ways to sneak stuff in here. Okay. So, a poem, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." Wow. That's so clever. She had read the poem before and thought of it as just pretty words, but how could she appreciate the feelings behind the words? Strong feelings for the rare person who truly understands you and whom you understand in return. She took out her black leather journal and chewed on her pencil and thought. She finally wrote. Now, I'm kind of similar to this. Like, I like writing poems, and I'm not really fascinated with death, though. Not in a weird, creepy way. But yeah, I do like writing. Though. You clipped away the black thorny vines that twisted around my wounded heart, so it could beat and feel relief from pain. You are the gardener who wakes the plants from the gray, chilly death of winter, so that they can blossom in my heart, like my heart, a slow-blooming blood-red rose. Honestly, this is really good. She read the poem back to herself and sighed with satisfaction. Her mood only darkened slightly when she set her journal aside to start on her homework. Blurred homework. No. Okay, we're back to this guy again. No, pity. I always thought impaling has a certain dramatic flair. Sometimes something with a little more swing. Electrocution is always an effective option. Did you know that the idea of the electric chair was developed in the 1800s by a dentist named Alfred P. Southwick? He came up with the idea of an electric chair based on his dental chair. That's not exactly comforting to people with dental phobias. I have dental phobias, guys. I'm terrified of the dentist. Now, is it? I don't have a chair to strap you into, but I do have the power to shoot series of strong electrical currents through my body captivity. If the current zaps your heart or your brain, you'll die quickly. If it doesn't, you'll have some nasty burns and your heart will go into fibrillation, which will generally kill you if you don't have any help. And I think we've established that you don't have any. Shut up, phone. Shut up, phone. Can you guys hear that? Can you guys hear when my phone goes off? Let me know. Like, I know there's people watching this. I see you. Just say yes or no. Ow. My phone is like 100 degrees right now. Ouch. Ow. Burn my thingy. Do you have W? Who are you asking that to, me? I just want to know, real quick, can you guys hear my phone going off? Like, it's only went off a few times during the stream, and the stream has been an hour. No? No answers? Okay, I'll go back to reading then. Looking away from chat. Okay. Where was I before I got distracted? Oh yeah, she's trying to, the dude is trying to electrocute her. Help was one word Millie wanted to desperately scream, but she knew it was a waste of energy. She needed to conserve it if she had any hope of survival. So, what do you think, Cupcake? Electrocution? You'd be shocked how effective it is. An electrifyingly good time. Another chuckle. Millie had once experienced a shock unplugging a hairdryer from a wall socket in badly wired hotel room. She had felt the electricity tear painfully up her arm. For a few moments she was out of breath as if someone had punched her in the stomach. She didn't want to think about electric current strong enough to kill her. A good time for you, but not for me, she said. Okay, back to present. I don't really like that this story does that. Like, it keeps going back to, like, oh yeah, she's trapped inside this thingy. And then it goes back to, like, oh, she's living at her grandpa's house. Like, I don't really like that. But, like, I guess it's special for this book. It's not just same. It's not like Into the Pit where little, what's his name? Little Oswald just keeps going into the pit every day and gets transported back in time. Like, I like that this one is different, but also I don't like it. Let me know if you have anything to say about this book, guys. Do you like this one? And which one is your favorite? Do you like Into the Pit, To Be Beautiful, or Count the Ways? Me, my personal favorite, I think I really like this one. But I also like Into the Pit, too. That one was pretty good. Little Oswald. On a Sunday afternoon, when most other kids were at the mall or the movies or hanging out at one another's houses, Millie walked downtown to the public library. It was about a 20-minute walk, so the walk there and back within an hour or two of browsing and reading, sandwiched in between was a pleasant way to spend a Saturday afternoon in solitude. Today she roamed the library, searching for suitably dark reading material. She had finished The Call of Cocomelon, but was disappointed when there weren't any more books by Lovecraft on the shelves. "Hey!" a voice called from behind her. She gasped and jumped, but then saw it was Dylan. "I didn't mean to startle you," he said. "Hey, did you read that Lovecraft book?" Millie couldn't believe that the stars aligned back when she... Hold on, I'm dyslexic. Millie couldn't believe that the stars had aligned such that she thought she had run into Dylan outside of school. "Yes, I loved it. I'm sorry they'd have more stuff by him here." Dylan said. "I bet I can pick up something else you like. Give me a sec." With a thoughtful expression, he scanned the shelves and then pulled out a thin book with a black cover and handed it to her. "The lottery." "Oh, Have you guys ever read The Lottery? I read it in school. It's a really interesting story. The Lottery and Other Stories by Shirley Jackson. She read. Yep, you'll love her. It's the perfect book to continue your classic horror pursuits. Hey, he said. I was reading at that table over there until I saw you. If you want to come sit there and read too, you can. Okay. Millie worked hard not to show how happy this invitation has made her. What is that on my foot? Oh, it's just the cord. I have my phone plugged in right now because it's at it's dying. It's at 20. Oh, it's at 29. So it's charging. Yeah, but if you guys haven't read these old-fashioned stories, I used to love reading those because whenever I was in elementary, I read Bunnicula, which is a story about a vampire bunny that these people adopt, and then yeah, it's pretty good. I read because originally it was a really cool story. I thought it was really cool, and then I had forgotten about it until I was at my job because I work at at my local elementary school. I help with homework and stuff, but I'd forgotten about it until I seen it there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember reading this book. So I've read Bunnicula, like um, oof. I think I remember reading a story called A Dog Called Kitty. I'd forgotten about that one too until I was having like before sleep thoughts. I was trying to remember, but it's a really good story about this boy who wants a dog, but he ends up getting a puny dog and he starts to call it Kitty or whatever. And eventually he's like, "Oh man, I love this dog." And then there was also a story. I honestly think it was called Balto. But it was different. It was this boy had a Great Dane and he needed money, and he and his Great Dane joined the sledding team, and then it was sad. It was so depressing. I was so sad. Yeah, I've read a lot of books, but The Lottery, that was a really good one. You guys should go check it out. It's by Shirley Jackson. That's what he's talking about. The Lottery. It's a really good story. There's also some called The Necklace and the monkey's paw. I like creepy old stories like that. I'm not really a fan of Edgar Allan Poe cuz the and I'm not really a fan of old writers, but I am a fan of the stories. I love horror genre. That's why I really like Five Nights at Freddy's. Cause I started getting into the I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was a movie. I thought it was a series on YouTube. I was in middle school and I was my friend showed me. He's like, "Hey, look at this," and he showed me the name and I was trying to make sense of it. I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's Five Nights at Freddy's too," and I was like, "Okay, what is it about?" He was like, "It's the whole thing. It's funny. I'll tell you guys." Whenever, if you want me to. Hello, people. But if you guys want to hear the story about what I thought FNAF was when I was in middle school, just let me know. Let me know in the comments down below and I'll check it again. I'll just check, glance at it again. If you guys say, yeah, I want to hear it. I want to hear what you thought about. Yeah, but my middle school days, geek. I'm pretty sure FNAF 2 came out when I was in middle school. I think, because FNAF 1, obviously, 2015, and I can't remember what grade I was in. I think I was still in elementary, but FNAF 2 came out not too long after FNAF 1. But yeah, if you guys want to hear that funny story, just let me know. I'll glance back at chat and see if you guys want to hear it. But okay. Okay, so I got distracted talking about the lottery. Okay. I've got to admit, I've got an ulterior motive inviting you, Dylan said. I want to see the look on your face once you finish reading the first short story in that book. They sat at a table across from each other and read in companionable silence. Millie loved talking with Dylan, but being quiet with him was nice too. She read The Lottery with a growing feeling of suspense, and then she got to the ending. Dylan laughed. You're reading with your mouth hanging open, he said. It's the ultimate surprise ending, isn't it? It really is. Say, Dylan said, I was thinking, after I check out my books, I might have a cup of tea at that cafe next door. Would you like to go do that too? I mean, you don't have to drink tea just because I do. You can have coffee or hot chocolate. Tea sounds nice, Millie said. This afternoon was turning out to be nice, surprisingly so. Millie had passed you and me coffee and tea hundreds of times, but never went inside. It was a pleasant place with exposed brick walls, displaying paintings by local artists. Mm. Sitting with Dylan over their steaming cups, Millie said, I think I might like to be a librarian someday. She said she had never told anyone this before. She'd always been afraid of getting laughed at. That would be cool, Dylan said. You love books. I love books and I love quiet, Millie said, sipping her Earl Grey tea. You should totally dress in a goth librarian style too, Dylan said. You could put your hair up and wear your you could put your hair up and wear your jet jewelry and a black Victorian dress. Those old-fashioned glasses that just clip on your nose. What are they called? Pince pince-nez? Yeah, those. And then and when you dress like that and shush people in the library, it'll scare the living daylights out of them. Millie laughed, and she had to admit it felt good. Okay. School days were better when she knew she'd have lunch with Dylan. She could spend the morning looking forward to seeing him, and the afternoon thinking about what they'd said to each other. Sometimes it felt a little silly for spending so much time thinking about a boy. But Dylan wasn't an ordinary boy. Today, when she got home from school, her grandpa met her in the cluttered living room. I thought we might have to go to the. I thought. I thought we might go to the holiday bazaar tonight, he said. Instead of his usual cardigan, he was wearing an ugly green pullover sweater, decorated with creepy, smiling Christmas trees. The holiday bazaar is stupid, Molly rolled her eyes. A bunch of people selling ugly tree ornaments made out of popsicle sticks. I remember doing that in elementary. We still have mine that we used to hang on the tree. Oh, I always thought of the bazaar was kind of fun when I was a teacher. This year, there's a chili supper, and you can choose between meat and vegetarian chili. And there's an all-you-can-eat cookie buffet. I'm so hungry, guys. I'm starving right now. But I think I might finish this book today. It's a shorter book. If I can not give, if I can just stay away from talking about random stuff. You really done your homework, haven't you? Millie said. She would never say it out loud, but it was kind of cute how excited Grandpa was. I take cookies very seriously. I can see that, Millie said. But this time, she could let the old man have something he wanted. The two of them didn't get out much, and it might be good for him to be among other people. Okay, I guess I'll go, even if it's not my thing. Great, Grandpa said. We'll leave in about an hour. He looked her up and down. Maybe you could wear something besides black? Something, a little more festive? Don't push it, Grandpa, Millie said. She couldn't believe she had agreed to attend such a lame event, but maybe Dylan would be there, under duress like her. Maybe they could even make fun of it together. The halls were sparkly with Christmas lights. Oh, the school halls were sparkly with Christmas lights, and Millie had been correct in predicting the ugliness of the ornaments for sale. But the vegan chili was tasty, and there was an impressive variety of cookies on the cookie buffet, including gingerbread, which was her favorite. Comment down below, what's your favorite cookie? Mine, I like snickerdoodles. Those are my favorite. I love baking them. I really love making cookies, and snickerdoodle, they're my favorite to make. But, yeah, let me know what your favorite cookie is. Do you like Oreos, sugar cookies, Christmas cookie, gingerbread? Now I'm hungry. Chocolate chip. But yeah, my personal favorite are snickerdoodles. I love them so much. They're so good. Snickerdoodles, favorite cookie. Yeah, just let me know what favorite cookie you like. I'll look at it here in a moment. Okay, so gingerbread, it was her favorite. After she and Grandpa ate their fill, she wandered the hallways, giving the impression of looking at the craft displays, but really looking for Dylan. She found him on the second floor hallway, but not in the way she wanted to. Dylan was standing in front of a booth selling reindeer Christmas ornaments made out of candy canes. Oh, candy canes. Okay, so... But he wasn't alone. He was with Brooke Harrison, a blandy, pretty blonde girl who was in Millie's U.S. government class. Dylan and Brooke were holding hands and laughing about some private joke in a very couple-ish way. Millie bit her lip to keep from gasping and turned around. She ran through the hall and down the stairs. She had to find Grandpa. She had to get out of there. "Where's the fire, Dracula's daughter?" some random kid asked her, but she didn't even bother to process who it was. They were all the same anyway. She ran out of the cafeteria, scanning the crowd for Grandpa's ugly Christmas sweater. Unfortunately, a lot of people were wearing ugly Christmas sweaters. She finally found Grandpa next to the drinks table, sipping coffee and chatting with a couple of other old men who were also retired teachers. These guys apparently shopped at the same ugly Christmas sweater store as Grandpa. "We have to go," Millie hissed at him. Grandpa knitted his brow, concerned. "Are you sick or something?" "No, I just have to go." Why wouldn't he move faster? "Okay, honey." He gave the older guys a look that seemed to say, "They're so emotional at this age," and then said, "I'll see you later, fellas. Merry Christmas." In the car, Grandpa said, "What's the matter, honey? Did somebody at the school say something that hurt your feelings?" Millie couldn't believe her grandpa could be so stupid. "Nobody at school said anything to me because nobody at school ever says anything to me. Nobody at this school cares whether I live or die." To try to stop the flow of tears. I can remember feeling that way when I was your age. I wouldn't go back to being 14 for anything. Not even with all the years I'd get back. The tears weren't stopping. Millie looked out the window and tried to ignore Grandpa. She couldn't possibly understand. Nobody could understand, especially with people who got excited about Christmas and all that fake happy stuff they filled their minds with to ward off their fear of death. Millie wasn't afraid of death. Right now, death felt like her only friend. Okay, back to this fool. Or back to the robot guy. "My, we certainly aren't picky, are we?" the voice said. "For some reason, someone who wants the end result. We're awfully fussy about how to achieve it. But there are lots of options. I feel like a waiter making my way through the menu at a fancy restaurant. The difference, of course, is that one menu gets you fed, and the other menu that gets you dead." A low mumbling laughter. "Oh," I crack myself up. I was talking about food. How about boiling? Did you know that Henry VIII? I think that's eighth. I don't know, I can't read that. It's right there. I think that's 8th. He was like a horrible king though. Made boiling alive the official form of punishment during his reign. Funny, they call it boiling alive because goodness knows you don't stay alive for very long. I could easily flood my insides with water and then use my energy stores to bring the temperature up and up. First it would feel like a nice warm bath, but then it would just keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I wondered if you turn red like a lobster. Millie sat miserably at her table in the cafeteria, knowing she was doomed to eat alone. She opened anthology of horrors, an anthology she had checked out from the school library. Books, at least, would always keep her company. But then Dylan sat across from her, acting like absolutely nothing was wrong. "Hey," he said, "how can you just sit across from me like that?" Millie said. He was so casual, opening up his ketchup packets and creating a little red puddle on his plate, just like he always did. "What?" he said. Hold on. "What?" he said, looking lost. "I sit here every day." Hold on, the phone ghost is moving my phone. Stop moving. Okay, so now she's jealous. She's mad because he has a girlfriend or whatever. Okay, like what? I sit here every day. I would think you'd want to sit with Brooke, Millie said. Brooke has a different lunch period than me." He obviously dipped a nugget into his ketchup puddle and popped it in his mouth. Millie felt anger rising up all the way from her toes. "So what? I'm your backup? Her understudy?" Dylan rubbed her face like he was tired. "I'm sorry, Millie. I'm trying to keep up. I really am. But you're not making any sense." Millie couldn't understand how he could be so stupid. "Dylan, I saw you with her at the bazaar last night." "Yeah? So?" She had never felt so exasperated. "You were holding hands. You were clearly together." "Yeah, so?" he repeated. The look of realization dawned on his face. Millie, did you think you and I were dating?" Millie swallowed hard and told herself not to cry. "You noticed me, bought me a book, took me out for tea. Of course I thought we might, in the future, date, I mean." Oh my goodness, this is so middle school stuff. "Wow," Dylan said. "I'm sorry if I misled you. I mean, you're really great and really pretty and everything, but I never meant to make you think we were anything other than friends. Haven't you ever had a friend who's a boy, but who's not, a boyfriend?" Hannah had been Millie's only friend, but had abandoned her. There was no way Millie was sharing this fact with Dylan. "Of course I have, but Dylan, you told me I was the only cool person you met at the school." "I did, but it was my first day. I've met other cool people since then." "Like Brooke?" Millie's voice dripped with sarcasm. "What, you don't approve of Brooke?" Dylan said. "She's blonde and basic," Millie said. No need to mince the words, but truth was the truth. "Have you ever had a conversation with her?" Dylan asked. "Do you even know what she's like?" Millie had never heard Brooke say anything. She was quiet in U.S. government class. Millie assumed because she had nothing interesting or important to say. I've never talked to her," Millie said. I don't talk to just anyone." Dylan shook his head. "Well, Brooke isn't just anyone. She's smart and well-read and nice. She wants to be a veterinarian. Why does it matter what color her hair is?" Dylan looked at her so hard it was like he was looking through her. "Millie, I'm disappointed in you. You, of all people, with your black wardrobe and black eyeliner and black nail polish. It seems like you'd know better than to judge a person person based on their appearance. You don't like it when people do it to you, and yet you're guilty for the very same crime. I'm pretty sure that's called hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Yeah. He stood up. I think this is over. As the winter holidays approached, Millie's mood became grimmer and grimmer. The cold temperatures and the gray skies and the bare stripped trees all matched her emotional state perfectly. Cheerful holiday lights and plastic Santas on people's houses filled her with anger, and the sound of Christmas carols and stories in other public places engaged her. She felt that held responsible for her actions if she had to hear Winter Wonderland one more time. Holiday cheer, peace on earth, and goodwill were just lies, people told themselves. Winter was the season of death. At dinner, vegetable stir-fry for Millie, chicken and vegetable stir-fry for Grandpa. Grandpa said, "So, are you excited that tomorrow is the last day before winter break?" Millie said, "Listen, I've been meaning to tell you. I'm not celebrating Christmas this year." Grandpa's face fell. "Not celebrating Christmas? But why ever not?" Millie poked at a piece of broccoli with her fork. "I refuse to pretend to be happy on some particular day just 'cause society tells me I'm supposed to be." "But it's not society. It's about family," Grandpa said. "It's about getting together and enjoying each other's company. On Christmas Eve, your aunt and uncle and cousins are coming over, and your mom and dad are going to Skype in so they can be a part of things. We'll have a big dinner and exchange gifts, and then we'll have hot chocolate and cookies and play board games." Millie felt nauseous at the thought of all that false cheer. I'll be here because I don't have any place else to go, but I refuse to participate in the festivities." "Is it a fact?" Grandpa said. He pushed his plate away. "Listen, Millie, you've never been particularly cheerful child. Heaven knows you were the fussiest baby I've ever seen. And when you were a toddler, your temper tantrums were legendary. I feel like you're especially unhappy here with me now. I'm genuinely sorry for that. I'm an old man. I'm no expert in what young girls like. I've tried to make things as nice for you as I can. Maybe it would have been better if you had chosen to move abroad with Mom and Dad. I know it must be hard so far away from them." "I don't miss my parents," Millie shouted. But even as she said it, she wasn't sure it was true. Sure, maybe they had maybe they made her crazy sometimes when they were all together, but it was weird having them so far away. Typing with them on Sunday nights wasn't clearly enough to make up for their absence from her everyday life. It didn't help that she tended to be in a bad mood during their Skype sessions, mad at them for being gone, so the conversations weren't always pleasant. "Okay, maybe you don't," Grandpa said, but something's been you lately. A problem at school or falling out with a friend. I'm not saying I can help, but sometimes it's just better to have someone to listen." Against her will, a picture of Dylan popped into her head. Dylan, the first day she had met him, when she couldn't believe this cool guy, who could have sat anywhere he wanted to in the cafeteria, chose to sit right across from her. Well, that never happened anymore. Now he sat at a table with those guys who never talked about anything but the fantasy role-playing games, and Millie sat alone with only a book for company. "I told you, I don't have any friends," Millie said. "Well, maybe you could try to make one," Grandpa said. "You don't have to be a social butterfly if you don't want to, but everyone needs one good friend." "You don't know what I need." Millie stood up from the table. "I'm going to do my homework." She didn't really have homework since tomorrow was the last day before break. Hold on, I gotta take a sip. I'm dehydrated. She didn't really have any homework since tomorrow was the last day before break, but she'd say whatever she had to get out of there. "And I'm going to my workshop," Grandpa said. "You're not the only one who can storm out of her room, you know, girlie." It was the first time since she had moved in with her grandpa that he sounded like he was actually mad at her. In her room, Millie opened up her laptop and went to YouTube and typed in Kurt Carrion music videos. She clicked on Death Mask, her favorite song. The video was filled with images of ravens and bats circling vultures. In the center of it all was Kurt Carrion himself, growling his way through the morbid lyrics, his black spiky hair, his complexion placid, his black eyeliner perfectly applied. Millie felt like Kurt Carrion might be the one person on the planet who would understand her. Who was she kidding? Nobody would. Okay, now we're back to that fool, the robot fool who trapped her. "Please don't boil me alive," Millie said. She had to figure out a way to escape. Suddenly, desperately, she wanted to live. "Not boiling? Well, understandable, by all accounts. It is a nasty way to go. People who observed boilings during Henry VIII's time said it was so sickening they would prefer to see beheading. Oh, there's a good one we haven't talked about yet. Decapitation." He said it was like such a he said it like it was such a happy word. There are many ways to chop off a head, of course. If the blade is sharp enough, it's quick and painless. With that being said, if the blade isn't sharp enough, well, poor Mary, Queen of Scots, had to get 3 hacks with the headsman's dull old axe before her noggin was liberated from her body. The guillotine was quick and clean, although it didn't require any particular skill on the part of the executioner, which made it easy to get rid of those rich snots during the French Revolution. They just lined them up and ran them through the guillotine like an assembly line. Rather, a disassembly line. The voice paused to chuckle. Whatever it was, it seemed to be very good time at Lily's expense. Saudi Arabia, where your parents are, am I right, still uses beheading as a preferred form of capital punishment. They use a sword, which I find rather stylish and dramatic. Saudi Arabia thought. Her parents were so far away, unable to help her, was facing down death. She strangely felt more love for them than she ever had. Surely they were weird and they made strange decisions and stupid mistakes, but she knew they loved her. From the thought of her dad's awful jokes and her mom reading her story after story at bedtime when she was little, maybe her parents were different from other kids' parents, but they had always taken care of her basic needs, and they had always made her feel loved and safe. Millie wanted to be safe. Okay, now we're moving on to the present day, I guess. Millie at least came downstairs. "Millie, at least come downstairs to say hello," Grandpa called her. It was Christmas Eve, and Grandpa had been blasting music all day, singing "Silver Bells" and "White Christmas" and others of Millie's least favorites off-key in the kitchen while he baked the ham and decorated the cookies. From that level of noise downstairs, Millie assumed that her aunt and uncle and cousins had arrived. This fact did not fill her with joy. Nothing did. Millie reluctantly dragged herself downstairs. They were gathered around an antique glass punch bowl that Grandpa had dug out from who knows where in his house full of stuff. They were wearing Christmas sweaters, all of them, even her annoying little cousins. Aunt Sherry had on some wearable abomination with a reindeer that had a light-up nose. Uncle Rob, her dad's goofy brother, wore a red sweater with candy canes on it, and Cameron and Hayden were matching elf sweaters. It was so hideous that Millie feared her eyes would bleed. "Merry Christmas!" Aunt Sherry greeted her, opening her arms for a hug. Millie did not move toward her. "Hello," she said, her voice dripping icicles. "Off to your funeral, Millie," Uncle Rob said, nodding toward her head-to-toe black and purple clothing. He had always said this to her, and apparently never stopped finding it hilarious. "I wish," Millie said. "Better to be honest in a sad environment than a fake happy one." She would certainly prefer funeral organ music to being forced to listen to Winter Wonderland again. "Millie isn't celebrating Christmas this year," Grandpa said, "but at least she's agreed to grace us with her presence." "How can you not want to celebrate?" he said, looking up at Millie with big, innocent blue eyes. "Christmas is awesome." He had a little lisp that came out when he said Christmas and awesome, which Millie supposed someone would find cute. "Presents are awesome," Cameron said, pumping his fist up in excitement. Millie wondered if there had been a time where she'd gotten excited over a holiday, whether or not she had known better. "Our culture is already too materialistic," Millie said. "Why do you want more stuff?" Her aunt and uncle and cousins all looked uncomfortable. Good. Somebody in this family needed to tell the truth. Sherry plastered a smile on his face. "Millie, won't you at least have a cup of eggnog? Drinking eggnog is like drinking phlegm," Millie said. Really, how had such a disgusting beverage had ever come part of a traditional celebration? Eggnog and fruitcake both seemed more like they had a part of punishment rather than celebration. Honestly, I'm with her there. I don't like fruitcake and eggnog. I'm starting to lose my voice. My voice is breaking. Okay. "What's phlegm?" Hayden asked. "It's that gross slimy stuff that's in your throat and nose when you have a cold," Aunt Sherry said. Cameron raised his cup. "Yum! Egg snot! Ugh!" he said, and then took a big, showy drink that left an eggy mustache on his upper lip. Millie couldn't take it. She had to get out of here. "I'm going for a walk," she said. "Can we come too?" Hayden asked. "No," Millie said. "I need to be alone." "Well, don't stray too far," Grandpa said. "We're eating dinner in an hour." As Millie headed out the door, Grandpa called for her to remember her coat, but she ignored him. All the houses in the neighborhood had extra cars in their driveways, no doubt because of visiting family members celebrating the holiday. All these people acting the same, doing the same thing. Presents and eggnog and hypocrisy. Well, Millie was different. She wasn't going to participate. Hypocrisy, she thought again. This time, the words stung her. Dylan had said she was a hypocrite because she judged Brooke by her appearance. But boys, even boys who seemed cool like Dylan, were fooled by appearances. If a conventionally pretty blonde girl had paid any attention to them, they'd think she was a saint and a genius rolled into one. No way Millie was a hypocrite. She was a truth-teller. If some people couldn't handle the truth, that was their problem. After one lap around the block, she was feeling pretty cold, but there was no way she was going back in the house yet. An idea popped in her head. Grandpa's workshop had a little space heater that he always kept running. It could keep her pretty toasty and warm while she waited out the party. He was too busy hosting his lame little holiday party and gathered into his workshop. It was a perfect place to hide. Grandpa kept the key under a flower pot beside the workshop door. Millie found it, opened the door, and pulled the chain on the bare light bulb that lit the small windowless space. She closed the door behind her and looked around. The place was even more crammed with stuff than it had been the last time she was here. Grandpa must have been really hitting the yard sales, flea markets, and salvage yards. Near his workshop bench was a rusty antique bike, the kind with a giant front wheel and a tiny back one. There were lots of old mechanical toys too. A metal bank with a clown that flipped coins into its mouth, Jack-in-the-Box that startled her when the Jester doll jumped out, even though she'd known what would happen when she started turning the crank. There was one of those horrible grinning monkey dolls that clanged cymbals together. Ugh, I'm getting Dark Deception flashbacks. Why did Grandpa want all this stuff? And what did he plan to do with it? Repair it and then use it to clutter the house some more, she guessed. The strangest item among many was tucked into one corner of the workshop. It was some kind of mechanical bear with a bow tie, a top hat, and a creepy blank grin. It looked like it had once been white and pink, but years of neglect had left it a dingy gray. It was big, big enough for a person to climb inside its chest cavity. Like those science fiction movies where people drove giant robots. The hinges on its limb made it look as if the parts had once moved. It must have had been a figure from one of those old kids' attractions. They featured creepy-looking animatronics. Why had little kids even like those things? They were nightmare fuel. From outside the workshop, Millie heard laughter and yelling. Caden and Cameron playing in the backyard. She hadn't thought to lock the workshop door from the inside. What if they tried to come in? She couldn't let them find her. They'll go tell the adults that, and then she'll be dragged into the house, sentenced to mandatory celebration. Millie found herself staring at the old animatronic, not just out of curiosity now, but a potential solution to her problem. She opened the door to the mechanical bear's body cavity and crawled inside it and shut the door behind her. Darkness enveloped her. It was so much better than those annoying twinkly lights garnished by Christmas sweaters. This was perfect. No one would find her in here. She could go back to the house after she heard Uncle Rob and Aunt Sherry's car pulling out of the driveway. So what if she missed Skyping call with her parents? It seemed right for her. It served them right for being so far away from her on Christmas. Kids, time for Christmas dinner, Grandpa yelled out the back door. Millie, you come in too if you can hear me. Cameron and Hayden came running in, their cheeks pink from the chilly air. Here, Cameron said. Well, that's because I cooked you a feast, Grandpa said. Ham and sweet potatoes and rolls and your mom's green bean casserole. You boys didn't happen to see Millie while you were out there, did you? Okay, so this is Grandpa's POV. Okay. Nope, didn't see her, Hayden said. Grandpa, why is she so weird? Grandpa chuckled. She's 14. You'll be weird when you're 14, too. Now go wash your hands before we sit down to eat. At the table, Grandpa has carved the big, sticky, beautiful ham. I glazed this thing with Coca-Cola. Ooh, that sounds so good. I'm so hungry right now. I found the recipe on the internet. I've been looking up a lot of recipes since Millie moved in. Some of them are vegan, but she won't starve herself to death. About this weird fake turkey loaf thing for her at the grocery store. When she gets back, she can have it with the green bean casserole and sweet potatoes. I keep feeling like we ought to go out and look for her, Sherry said. Oh, she'll show up when she gets hungry, or when she feels like she's made her point, Apple said. She and that cat of hers aren't that different. She's just at that age, you know. Speaking of hungry, who wants some ham? I don't have a sword like Saudi Arabian executioner, silly Millie, the voice said, but I do have a sharp sheet of metal that I can pass through the chamber. It could easily pass at the level of your throat. You in the lower, or it can hit you lower and bisect you. A bisection is a good way to go. Either way, the job would get done. I think it would be as smooth like Madame Guillotine instead of slow, dull cracking like Mary Queen of Scots experienced. 100% true. This is my first attempt at decapitation. Yours too, but it would also be your last. The voice laughed at its wittiest, witticism. Millie pushed the walls on the chamber that trapped her. They didn't budge. But then she saw a tiny crack of light shining through the door. Maybe if she could slip something, a tool of some sort, into that crack, she could somehow pry the door open. She could slip some crack, pry door open. But what could she use as a tool? She took a mental survey of her jewelry. Her earrings were too small and breakable. Her necklace was an unhelpful string of jet beads. But there was the silver cuff bracelet on her wrist. She pulled it off and pushed and bent it until it was nearly a straight ruler. The end seemed the right size to slip into the crack, but she was too afraid to test it, too worried her captivator would notice. "Millie," the voice said, "are you still with me? Decision must be made." Millie thought. If she lowered her head and curled up into a little ball when the blade shot through, it would miss her. She'd have to be quick, though. Make sure she got her whole head out of the way, or else she'll get scalped. If the blade came through, lower to bisect her, she'd really have to flatten to the bottom of the space. "Is there any chance you would just let me go?" she said. "Anything to give you in exchange for my life?" "Lamb chop, there's nothing I want for you except your life." Millie took a deep breath. "Okay then, decapitation it is." "Really?" the voice said, tremulously pleased. "Good choice, it's a classic. I promise you won't be disappointed." The rumbling laugh. "You won't be disappointed because you'll be dead." Millie felt more tears spring into her eyes. She had to be strong. "But if you can still cry and be strong at the same time, tell me. You're about to do it, okay? Just don't let it spring on me." "Fair enough, I suppose. It's not like you're going anywhere. Give me a few seconds to get ready. You know what they say, prior preparation prevents poor performance." The chamber shook and rattled. When the animatronic's eyes rolled back outward, away from the chamber, Millie felt her heart pounding. Why had she ever wished for death? No matter how hard life could be, or how depressing or disappointing, she wanted to live. If nothing else, she wanted a chance to apologize for Dylan, what she said about Brooke, and to ask if they could still be friends. She curled into a tiny ball as she could, tucking her head in her arms. She hoped harder. She hoped harder than she ever hoped for anything. She was low enough to miss the blade. Millicent Fitzsimmons, you are hereby sentenced to die for crimes of humanity." "Wait," Millie said. "What does that mean, crimes of humanity?" "You," the voice said. "You have been rude and quick to anger. You've rushed to the judgment of others. You've been insufficiently grateful to the ungrateful, to those who have shown you nothing but love and kindness." The voice was right. In different incidents of her own rudeness and ingratitude played in her head like scenes from a movie, but she didn't want to be seen. "Guilty as charged," Millie said. "But why are those crimes I have to die for? Those crimes that everyone's guilty of from time to time." "True," the voice said. "That's why they're the crimes of humanity." "But if there's something all humans are guilty of, then why do I have to die for them?" The voice didn't answer. Millie felt a small tingle of hope. Maybe she wouldn't have to take her chances by curling up on the floor of the cavity. Maybe she could talk herself out of this. "Because," the voice said, "you're the one who crawled into my belly." Whimpering, Millie made herself as small as she possibly could into the bottom of the captivity. If she got out, she was going to make a point to be nicer to Grandpa. He really had been good to her, taking her in, putting up with all her moods, and teaching himself how to cook all those vegetarian recipes. "In the spirit of the French Revolution," the voice said, "I will now do a countdown in French before releasing the blade. Un, deux, trois." Quick as a shot, the blade sliced through the chamber. Okay. Grandpa had brought out a plate of sugar cookies and set them on the coffee table. I'll be right back with the hot chocolate, he said in the kitchen. He finally broke down and called Millie's cell number. Her phone rang from the pocket of her jacket that was hanging on the coat rack in the hall. Oh well. She would come back when she felt like she proved her point. He hated to think of her being outside without a jacket, though. It was pretty chilly out there. Grandpa poured 5 cups of hot chocolate and topped them off generously with a handful of mini marshmallows. He carried the steaming cups in the tray in the living room. Who's ready for presents? I am, Cameron shouted. I am. Hayden shouted even louder. Do you think we should wait for Millie? Sherry asked. She's not celebrating Christmas, remember? Rob said. Why should we wait for her if she decided to be a brat? Grandpa didn't like the word being brat used to describe Millie. She wasn't a bad kid. She was just at a difficult age. She would come around. He crouched under the Christmas tree and arranged all her presents in a big pile, so they'd be there for her when she came back. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. Oh, that's depressing. Wait, what's this? Popping his foot. Is this the next one? Okay, so that was, we finished it, guys. If you're watching this later on, we finished the book. If you're joining late, I will give you a recap of what we read. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm losing my voice at the moment. I've been recording for 2 hours, but we finished the book. Moneymaker! Moneymaker! How you doing? But, yeah, I just finished the book. I just finished the book, guys. Where have you been? I understand that you were probably in school because, like, I had school off today, so I was like, why don't I just read the rest of the book? But I finished reading the book and I didn't have school today, so I figured I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stream. I haven't streamed in a while, so yeah, but we finished Into the Pit. And if you guys want me to read the second book, I will, like, oh, well, I guess I will be reading the second book. I asked you guys to give this video 2, and you totally crushed it with 4. So we will be reading this second book. Just honestly, I want to say next weekend I can probably read to you guys again. I just got on one after school. Oh. Yeah, I probably should have waited until later to stream because I understand that you guys are in school and stuff, but I started streaming at 2. Well, 2 something, but I had to delay it a little bit. I started streaming at like 2:10 because I got bit by a bug. Can't really see it anymore, but it's like right there. I got stung by a bug, and so I had to do like I had to like find it and then kill it and then yeah. It was rough. I hate bugs so much, but yeah, if you like, I will definitely read you guys the second book now. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's hold on. Can you guys see that? It's Fetch. I forgot about that. Fetch. But I've read this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've read this book. I've read this book over and over, like to the point it's honestly getting kind of worn out. Like, look at that. Like, it's starting to get worn out because I've read it so many times. Like, but yeah, the Count the Ways book, basically, this emo girl, basically, her parents go to Saudi Arabia or whatever, and they're known as the Weird Family. And so, just this is kind of a recap of the story, but her parents go away to Saudi Arabia, and they gave her a choice to go with her or stay there with her grandpa. So she chose to stay. She moved in with her grandpa, and she was like, because she's like an emo kid, so she was like, death. She goes back to school, and then she meets this new kid. She totally crushes on him. And then, this is around Christmas time, so she's going on Christmas break. She starts to feel better after she made friends with this guy. And then, she goes to find out that this guy she likes, that was like her only friend, that he's like dating some girl she thinks is stereotypical. She confronts him about it. He gets angry, so she's depressed and sad now. And then, again, this is around Christmas time, so her grandpa's like, hey, kiddo, got some family coming over. And she's like, no, I don't want to celebrate it. So whenever the family comes over, she goes out on a walk. She didn't want to go back inside, so she goes into her grandpa's shed, and then she finds basically Funtime Freddy, an older version of Funtime Freddy. She climbs in his chest cavity, and he's like, oh, okay. Like I was saying, you don't know if she died or not because it immediately cuts to Grandpa and be like, we're gonna open presents now. He was trying to call her and everything because he really cared about Millie. But he was like, okay, I guess she'll just come back whenever. But the thing is, you don't know if she really died or not. That's the thing I'm kind of a stickler about. Let me go to the part where it shows that it just says that he counts down, and then as quick as a shot, the blade slashed through the chamber. So you don't know if she died or not. Which I'm guessing maybe she did, and I don't know. It's just confusing to me. The story itself was really good. I really liked that story. But, yeah. Yes, I have. I've read the Twisted Ones. I read Silver Eyes, Twisted Ones, and The Fourth Closet. I've read all of them. I thought about getting the full, the full comic book to read for you guys, but I don't know, I was going to get it one day, and then I was like, never mind. So I never found it again. But if I find it, I'll definitely read it to you guys, even though that story is really confusing. But yes, I have read it before, and it's like, I have The Fourth Closet with me. I have it somewhere in my room. Like, I had to find this book because it fell behind my shelf, so it kind of died back there. But yeah, if you guys want me to read the Fourth Closet series, the comic books, let me know. But I think I'm gonna end the stream for today. Thanks for the support. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for just reading the book with me. I hope you guys will actually watch this stream, and so you can continue. So you can kind of get caught up on the story and where we're at. But I will read the second one soon. The second book, first story. I hope you guys have a phazerific week. I'm gonna end the stream here. Just kind of let you sit on the fact, what do you guys think? Do you think Millie died, or do you think she survived it? Because it doesn't really explain it. Just let me know. Well, I gotta go. I am starving. I need some food. Bye. Love you guys.